Today we're going to talk about Barotrauma. Again, welcome back to Status Report, where we check up on games in progress and see how they've grown. It's been a while since the last time we went in deep with our favorite masochistic submarine survival RPG, and there have been consistent content expansions and updates the whole time, including, just now. And we are going to take a peek at the brand new update in this video, but first I've got a whole bunch of catching up to do because, as per usual, Barotrauma has changed. A lot. I mean, it's the same, but it's different. The same, but different. The same, but... Reports have been pouring in from across EUROPA that a whole bunch of things look slightly different, including people. That's right, Janice, you and me included. In fact, some folks have gotten much more attractive. Thank you, Michael. Didn't mean you, Janice. Thank you, Michael. A top-to-bottom overhaul of every single character in the game, offering a wide assortment of swappable physical features, but also re-rigging their skeletons. Characters just move differently now, and the change honestly took me some getting used to, but it was a necessary upgrade that helps to visually unify the characters with the spaces they inhabit. The expanded pool also goes a long way in helping to populate the new cities. Cities come with a ton of great-looking new art assets and more resources and facilities available, including the implementation of the previously present but now functional vending machines. The machines are stocked with everything from energy drinks to opium, but who, you may ask, would buy overpriced opium from a vending machine? Well, crew members have their own wallets. Money can be requested from the ship bank and voted on by other crew members like a kind of democratic space Venmo. The captain can also assign crew salaries, which deposits a percentage of the reward from successful missions directly into the crewmate's wallet, which they can then spend on overpriced opium from a vending machine. There we go, full circle. Oh. There are also medics available in cities and outposts who you can pay to treat specific crew ailments with prices that scale to the severity of the injury. In fact, cities have facilities for all sorts of player needs, like processing genetic material for the newly added gene splicing. In addition to being my porn name, gene splicing is the art of making yourself and your crewmates into genetic abominations. Basically, you find unidentified genetic goop, you go to the goop identification spot and identify it, you use a thingy to inject it directly into your spine, you gain some sort of special ability related to the goop's identity. And you don't need to splice any genes to reinforce your crew's individuality. Every member of your crew can level up and invest points into a host of game-altering abilities using the new talent system. There are a wide variety of useful and creative talents to help crewmates of all playstyles find a niche within their niche. Each of the playable classes has 3 unique talent trees, and there's an upcoming rework that will increase build diversity even further by rebalancing some existing skills and adding a set of more generic universal class talents to pick from before you specialize. Now a simple medic can become a combat doctor to take lower damage and get faster at dragging injured crewmates, or they can lean into being more of a mad scientist with bonuses that let them use more potent and double-stacked genetic mods, or an explorer who's more adept at navigating the updated alien ruins.
He is the lone medic in the platoon. He's scared that someday he's going to get killed picking up a wounded buddy.
Certain talents let you craft class-specific gear. These items include deployable backup pumps, volatile fuel that irradiates the engine room, a radiation blaster, an underwater scooter with a built-in storage container, thermal goggles, a heavy shotgun that you wear in your belt slot. On top of all that, there's a new item quality system. More experienced members of the crew can craft higher-tier versions of most common tools and weapons, which have a considerable increase to their effectiveness. One other way you can speed up your repairs is by playing a simple Skillcheck minigame. If you miss, you get shocked, and if you don't like it, you can also choose to ignore the bar, and you will repair at the normal speed. It makes the repetitive maintenance tasks slightly more interactive without making them more difficult to perform. The captain can keep track of events and relay orders more clearly than ever thanks to the improved status monitor in the command room. The old status monitor could show you oxygen levels, whether or not a room was flooded, but that was about it. Now there's 3 separate tabs. The first has the same indication of air and flooding, but also visualizes the exact location of external breaches. You can click and drag commands directly to those rooms to remotely place a waypoint for relevant crew, and you can see whether or not they actually follow those orders because now crew locations show up on the monitor as well. The next tab shows every single electrical device on the ship. Finally, there's the item search screen. If an item exists on your ship, you can search for it by name, and the locations of all instances of that item will be pinged on the map. Being able to answer the question, do we have any meth, and if so, where is it, without rooting through every single locker on the ship trims an unnecessary and possibly annoying time sink while still requiring access to the stationary status monitor to be utilized. Another way to buy yourself time is with the new disposable diving suits, which appear in respawn shuttles replacing normal diving suits. Disposable disposables are as strong and pressure resistant as an abyssal suit, making them viable for use during respawns all the way to the end game, but prevents every respawn shuttle from bringing a fresh batch of free normal diving suits to use or break down for parts. You can still leave partially full disposable suits around for an emergency, but if you deconstruct one, you receive no materials, and once you run out of oxygen in the built-in tank, your suit will rapidly depressurize and... But with disposables come two other new suits that can hopefully balance out survival rates. The slip suit, unlocked via the security skill tree, which has flippers, which makes walking awkward, but greatly increases swim speed while leaving your hands free to use weapons or carry loot. And the PUCS, which is unlocked by a nuclear engineer. It's a hazmat suit with increased radiation, HUSK, and burn resistance, a built-in emergency medical injector, and the ability to toggle use of its oxygen tank when not needed. Both of these suits have their uses, but particularly in the mid-game, the PUCS is a great all-around upgrade for nearly any situation. A refreshing reminder that just barely enough is still enough. And if you start at the bottom, the only way to go is up. So don't just suck. Barsuk. The last few updates have added several official sub options to the vanilla game, but the most interesting one to me is the Barsuk. It's the first new sub to be cheaper than the old base level sub, the Dugong, but what really makes it stand out to me is the description, which calls it a popular sub among customizers. It's a small, simple ship with easy to comprehend wiring, empty rooms, and flavor text that references how customizable it is. If that isn't a call to at least dip a toe into the sub builder on the main menu, I don't know what is. So I spent time adding actual features and visual flair to my sub. It's got a bubble viewport, neon signs that I probably stole from a city, full mechanical and medical crafting capabilities, some loose wires from where I tried to add a camera drone, but it adds character, and it makes it my personal version of the ship. And if you want to start from scratch and make something as overpowered or just barely functional as you desire, that's your right, as a citizen of EUROPA. As is getting eaten by one of the fun new monster variations. A whole genre of monsters that I'm gonna call blank but bigger monsters have been added, deadlier variations of the murderous fauna veteran players know and love. They're great, I really like them. We also have a new abyssal beast, the Latcher. It's got a big tongue with teeth on it that it latches with, and then it uses that tongue to drag your ship into the depths. And yeah, that's all I've got to say on it. Whoever designed this, you made something truly evil. Well done. On to the ruins, the alien structures of old are no more. Nearly everything about them or relating to them has been changed since the last video. This includes alien artifacts, which still have essentially the same physical properties and dangers, but have a drastically different visual presentation more suited to their effects. The ruins have all sorts of new rules and traps you need to learn to identify and navigate around as you either eliminate all threats within them or place and then recover scanners at several predetermined points to map them for quests. The first thing I noticed was how claustrophobic things were. When you aren't in a room, you can find yourself swimming through tunnels just barely wide enough to turn in. The old ruins felt more abandoned, with vast, dark, foreboding rooms you often couldn't see the tops of. They also felt sort of empty. These new ones just feel dormant, and the tentacled guardians sleeping in their pods or patrolling the area make you feel even less like an archaeologist and more like a trespasser. The guardians have gotten a much-needed overhaul. There was always something unsettling about them, but in stark contrast to their predecessors, guardians are strong, fast, and smart. They zip around the ruins with mostly solid pathfinding until they discover intruders, at which point they can grab items, or you, in their claws and melt your face off with steam cannons. Even if you can get a good hit on one, it will quickly retreat to a pod and heal itself unless you can track it down and finish the job. I loved the janky old ruins, but this update took everything that worked about those, made it better, and then added layers and layers of additional features to make ruin expeditions into the fully realized experience the concept deserved. And on that note, the more recently added beacon repair missions have also received a considerable expansion. There's more than just one possible layout now, which would be big in and of itself, but rather than just connecting some wires, beacons can now be infested with crawlers or pirates who you need to clear out before you can fix the place up. In some models, instead of a normal generator, there's this water-cooled generator thing, and it doesn't even need a fuel rod to operate, so you can flip the switch and be done with it. Finally, let's touch on the update that dropped the most recently, Hoist the Sails. In addition to fleshing out the Submarine upgrade and classification systems, it made quality-of-life tweaks like draggable UI elements, a new version of the tutorial, a new version of the reactor control panel, new ship weapons and limitations for said weapons, and a ton of back-end bug fixes and stability improvements. And that's all I'm gonna say about it for now. I feel so fortunate that I picked Barotrauma to be the first subject of Status Report. At the start of 2020, Barotrauma was in a very different place, and my review reflected that. But thanks to thousands of hours of work by a gifted, dedicated team, I'm looking at what is here, imperfections and all, and telling you that Barotrauma is really special. Not perfect, but special. Plus, according to this excellent English subtitled interview with the devs, there is support and content planned beyond the early access period, so stay tuned. We may see clown cities and more power struggles occurring on the wider map, maybe even a city for the HUSK cultists too.
HUSK City. Young HUSK. Only rapper in the game with a HUSK parasite jutting out of his face. Let's go!
So that's a status report on Barotrauma in 2022. Depending on the content of the next few updates, this may be our last time checking in on the game until the official 1.0 release, but that remains to be seen. To each and every one of our now 3,000 plus subscribers, new and old, thank you so much for your support and for being patient. You can help us hang on to the algorithm for dear life by engaging with our videos by liking, commenting, and subscribing. But until next time, I'm Jamie.
You can't break it down as hard as I can, boy. Ooh, I'm the scat daddy.
Thanks for watching Standard Gaming.